Hello, welcome to Riftforge Studio, and today we are doing streaking, rust oils, and we're going to show you one of the ways you can use weathering powders too. So as you can see, we're back with our Imperial Fist door, which we've scratched and chipped, and hopefully you've been following along from the previous videos, and we're going to build on that today. I'd like to apologise for the amount of time it's taken me to get this video out. I'm afraid real life and commission work has been taking over, as well as my day job. And I apologise for my ape hands getting in the way at some very unfortunate places in the video, which you'll see as we go along. But anyway, so today we're going to be using, I have a hairdryer off to the side, I have white spirit, I have a raw sienna and a burnt umber oil paint, as well as a few powders which we'll get to. So first off, we're going to be diluting the sienna oil paint into a thin, almost a wash consistency along with the white spirit. We do that as a thin mix, so kind of like pin washing, but not really that focus onto every single surface area. So we're just dabbing it onto things like these rivets at the top here, and these little recesses around the sides. So we're looking just to create kind of a rusty discoloration in areas where it would naturally accumulate. Just in the bottom of the door here, and around these parts here at the top. It's always good to build up layers for when you're doing weathering. That gives the best result and the most natural effect. And this effect is very subtle at this stage, but once everything else is done, and I put a still up at the end, hopefully you'll see how all that blends together to create a natural looking damaged piece of armour. Now, to make the most out of these scratches and chips, we can just dab on some neat dots of oil paint here. This is the raw sienna again. And we're going to put those into places where we think might be nice to streak. And then once they're in place, I'm going to go back in with a damp brush that just has neat white spirit on it. And then we're going to feather that out into streaks. This is the first place where my stupid bare hand gets in the way, so you can't quite see that, but you can see the streaking I do later on, so just bear with me for this. So the effect is still very subtle at this stage, and you can work with oil paints and white spirit like this for quite a while. It can be corrected for, well, in this case, minutes. But certainly with large areas and more oil, more white spirit, especially if you've got the varnish underneath, you can work with it for probably hours. So I'm just bring a little bit more of the oil paint onto it now. This is our second layer of raw sienna. Just building up those streaks. And some you want to feather a lot, and some you want to feather a little bit less, just so it's natural. So not every single streak is going to look exactly the same, so you want to try and put a little bit of inconsistency in those streaks. Just adding a little bit more into those recesses at the bottom of the doors there, just to have just a stronger effect. So that's the end of our rust oils. Now we're going to go for some just streaking grime and dirt. And we'll be using raw umber for that. I think I said burnt umber earlier on, but it's raw umber. There's oil paint for this. This is a dark, dirty brown colour. I'm just going to find a couple of places where we want to put that. I'm going to run it over the Imperial Fist icon just to show you the downward motion of the dirt. keep adding a little bit of grime, basically until you're happy. So you can do as little or as much of this as you like, really. It's down to how much you want to weather up your vehicles. So there are a lot of really good oils and enamel effects out there you can use in this way. AK Interactive do loads of really good ones, MIG do some good ones too, and the Abteilung 502 oils are really good. So definitely worth checking those out. I had these 2 oil paints I used in this video, bought big tubes of these about 5 years ago, and they're still going strong, so I'm going to use them. Again, apologies for the hand in the way. Hopefully you can see that starting to come together now. I think we'll add a little bit more just on the top here. Turn that into a bigger streak. Show the grime coming off of that middle part of the door. Obviously, the more you add, the longer it's going to take you to paint everything. But for this demonstration piece, I think it's worth just doing a couple more dots. Just put a little bit extra on that corner, which I'm now going to drag down the white spirit dampened brush. As I say, I will put a still up at the end because the lighting's quite harsh on this, and hopefully you'll be able to see all those effects. That's pretty good. So I'm going to move on to do some powders now. So I've got Forge World Bone Dust, and I've got MIG Russian Earth, MIG Rubble, sorry, and then MIG Russian Earth. I'm using these because they were just to hand next to me. It's always good to use a mix of light, mid and dark powders together. And you can pre-mix those, or you can do them separately, but for a consistent look. I just want to show the way the 3 powders work. So I'm going to tap on the powders just off of a brush. But first of all, we're going to dab on some white spirit just onto the bottom of the door, which helps with the initial adhesion of the powder. So this is just neat white spirit going on the bottom. You can absolutely use pigment fixers and this sort of thing too. You see those everywhere. I just use a white spirit because it's what I'm used to and it's how I was taught. So I'm just going to dab on the rubble by MIG. And then I'm going to move on and dab on, I think, the Russian Earth next. So this is a really, really dark brown powder. And as I say, you can pre-mix these together before you put them on. So just just brush them all together in a bowl, or tap them around, and then you can put them all together at the same time, and you'll get that kind of blend of colours. But I just want to do 3 different ones just to show you how the 3 different ones look. And this is a Forge World Bone Dust, which I believe is not in production anymore, but there's a lot of very similar ones available on the market. MIG do loads, so that'd be a good place to start. And now I'm just dropping on neat white spirit off the brush, just to run down to all the powders. Try not to disturb them, because they will smear and streak, but this way hopefully they will just stay in place. And this shouldn't interfere with the streaking you've done previously unless you're agitating it, so you should be fine. So with these powders, it's always better to use more than one colour, just for natural variation. So as you can see by the powder moving there, I'm now blasting this with the hairdryer from a couple of feet back, so we don't disturb anything too much. And as this starts to dry out, hopefully you'll see the colour come back into those powders, and you'll see the result that we're going for. It will take a minute to dry them out completely. And if you go in with a big thumb, or a child comes past and smears a hand on it, you will disturb these powders. But for everyday use in and out of cases and stuff and tabletop, they should be absolutely fine. In later videos we will cover other ways to use powders and pigments, but this is just the dabbing method. Yeah, okay, that seems pretty good. Cool, okay, so if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe, because it does help us a lot. We have lots of other cool content in the works. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.